So Mr. David Rubin, the ultra intellectual, hyper intelligent man, the grifter, the guy who went from the far left to the far right within like a couple years and saw his net worth go up from like $50,000 to I think he just bought a $4 million house in Hollywood or something like that, or just Beverly Hills or something of the sort.
House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn is blaming some Democratic election losses on defunding the police movement.
We keep making that mistake, this foolishness about you got to be this progressive or that progressive. That phrase, defund the police, cost Jamie Harrison tremendously. Sloganeering kills people.
Jamie Harrison, didn't he lose by like 20%?
Sloganeering destroys movements. Stop sloganeering.
If you live in a racist ass state like that, you're not going to win.
Is the host of the Rubin Report.
Defund the police or not.
Don't burn
That's
this
his
book.
example.
Think for yourself at an age of unreason. Dave Rubin. Dave, now he says it. All he had to do was stand up to Kamala Harris, who is for defunding the police out in Los Angeles.
God.
They took millions out, as well as $1 billion out of the police budget in the NYPD, and millions out of Minneapolis. Now he speaks up.
Minneapolis actually voted as a community to adopt a community policing framework, and apparently it's doing a lot better than their old design did. Community people, or people in the community, are actually choosing the officers and holding officers accountable instead of law enforcement just being hired internally and all that. It's been working pretty well so far.
This is so typical of what has happened with the left and the sort of internal war between the progressives and whatever is left of a moderate Democrat. And I'm not really sure how much is left, although Clyburn's sort of taking the mantle right there.
Yeah, the Democrats use the bold strategy of denying all of their activists.
I mean, look, in effect, nobody except the radicals that want violence on the streets and that want mayhem.
Nobody wants violence on the street or wants mayhem. Literally 97% of the protests were completely peaceful. That means not even one bottle thrown.
Nobody besides that wants the police to be defunded.
Literally everybody, all the families of the black men that get shot by the cops, they literally say we do not want violence here. It's not reflective of our values or our child.
Even in places, in black communities where crime is high, they want more policing. I mean, there's a lot of evidence of this.
They still want better policing and better police reform. Even people who say abolish the police, which is like 0.01% of people, even those people usually want to rebuild it in some type of other and better manner, which is like community-based. Even people saying abolish, even the most radical side doesn't say there should be. I mean, the most radical says there shouldn't be any law enforcement or anything of the sort, but
you want less policing if you want chaos, and I think the progressives in many cases, they do want that chaos because they then think that proves that somehow the state is racist.
Literally, fascism grows off of chaos when it comes to the police state because they use it as an excuse to crack down even more.
And that
these are such stupid points.
That in essence is what allows them to run around and say America is so terrible. Look at all of this. But the average person wants law and order.
No, they talk about systemic
that's just very
issues,
simple and easily understood by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if there's modernization of policing that could help things get better, everybody wants to do it. Provide the money for that. Extend time in the academy. Whatever the cops say and whatever the experts reveal. By the way, in New York, front page, 2,400 people, officers have said, I quit. That's a 25% increase of all of last year, where so it is a run for the exits because they get no support from this terrible mayor. And if they were so bad, why didn't Jim Clyburn say this earlier? It would have meant a lot for the country. Meanwhile, yesterday, you would never know it, but the Judiciary Chairman, Lindsey Graham, asked Andy McCabe to come in and explain himself to what he was up to during the Russia probe in the 2016 election. Here's a little of what he gave and what he received.
And by the way, the reason people on the left don't like the term law and order is because law and order has always meant, since the 70s, the war on drugs was a reaction to the civil rights movement. It was the new racial caste system. So it went from slavery to segregation, Jim Crow, and then once they couldn't explicitly, through law, limit the rights of black people, Nixon signed in the law, the whole law and order thing, the war on drugs, and that's how he kept black people down then. So the term law and order, by nature has a racist
If you knew then what you know now, would you have signed the warrant application?